Hello and welcome to Charity's Treasures. Today is Definition Tuesday. I'm excited about this word. The word of the week is parallel. A simple word. We all know kind of what parallel means. But I'm going to read the definition anyways because it goes along interestingly with today's topic. Parallel refers to lines, planes, or surfaces that are equidistant at all points and never intersect. It also describes things that are similar, analogs, or happening simultaneously. Common synonyms include comparable, similar, equivalent, corresponding, and alongside. Being very similar and corresponding in nature, purpose, or time. I like that definition part. Very similar and corresponding in nature, purpose, or time, like parallel lives or stories. That part is important for today's episode. It can describe physical alignment, analogs, situations, or simultaneous actions, often implying a balanced or comparable structure, such as in grammar or computing. Figuratively, it means corresponding, similar, or analogous, such as parallel events or leadership styles, and in writing. It refers to using similar grammatical structures for balance. Okay, so interesting word. I'm just going to give a few examples. And if you want to read this episode, remember you can always go on my Substack. Geometry. Example of geometry. The tracks run parallel to the road. Similar situations. There are striking parallels between the two stories. Another important aspect that we need to keep in mind today. Computing. The system is capable of parallel processing. Geography. The 49th parallel divides the US and Canada. Okay, so those are some examples and the definition. One interesting thing when I looked up this word parallel is there's a phrase that is in parallel. That's the phrase, in parallel. This means occurring at the same time and having some connection, connected to common points at each end, not in a series. This phrase is the definition, and then the other parts that I said to focus on, we'll be focusing on those things today. Okay, so I'm going to share a dream I had. I had this dream on Sunday, March 8th, 2026. And I am talking about this dream because it's in parallel with another dream, which I will talk about a little bit more at the end of this episode. But I'm going to share this dream. And it was a dream I had of Charlie. It was really interesting and kind of a funny dream. But I do understand, as I've been thinking about it the last couple of days, what this dream means and what I need to do with it. Okay, so let's just get started. That's all I can say. Okay, before I had this interesting dream, I already knew what word I was going to use for Definition Tuesday. And I knew what I was going to talk about, something in particular that I wanted to talk about. But after having this intriguing dream, I immediately knew I must include this engaging dream for today and talk about that something else, maybe tomorrow. Which it still would have fit perfectly with parallel, but this is really what I was supposed to use today. Okay. This enthralling process of how God works fascinates me. These absorbing revelations present themselves right before I decide to talk about a particular topic. God gives me revelation and inspiration at the time it is needed. Because of this riveting process, I can directly hit the arrow on the bullseye. And the more this year, especially the more I have these experiences, as soon as I have them, I understand, like, sometimes I would have to investigate a lot more, but it's just like things just come to my mind so naturally, and it's really cool. Sorry, my eyes are still a little bit in trouble, but they're healing. They're getting better, but they water a lot. So if they're really shiny, which I notice when I have these videos, that's why. In the engrossing dream that I had about Charlie, I'm starting the dream right now. I'm going to tell you what this dream is. Okay. In this engrossing dream, I was in my city. I was shopping and getting errands done. As I was going about my ordinary day, Charlie appeared beside me. He said, "Charity, you must purposefully feed the fish." Seeing Charlie seemed at this moment in the dream the most natural occurrence. Him being with me as I performed these errands was not surprising to me. It was comfortable, and to me seemed like it was just part of life. After he told me that I must feed the fish, I looked at him confused and replied, "I don't have a fish. How am I supposed to feed a fish I don't have? I wouldn't even have a fish because I've had a fish and they have all died." That's what I told him. I ignored his bizarre request and continued to run my simple errands. After a short while, he came to me again and earnestly said, "Charity, you must feed the fish." He was getting a bit anxious, I would say, and was curiously wondering why I was not listening to him. He seemed a bit frustrated with me. I looked at him and realized his thoughts and smiled. Yes, I guess I can be a bit frustrating. He continued, annoyingly saying, "Before you feed the fish, Charity, you must clean out the tank because the tank is dirty." I was like, "Well, I don't have a fish, Charlie," which naturally means I don't have a fish tank. I was kind of getting annoyed with him at this point. As I was in the dream, I wasn't even thinking that he was dead. I felt in a weird way that we were friends, longtime friends, in fact. In the dream, he seemed to be well and good and alive. He looked really good. I again ignored him the second time and continued going about running errands. He came to me the third time and said in solemnity, "Charity, will you please feed the fish?" I was like, "Okay, I will indulge you, Charlie. What are you talking about? And how am I supposed to feed a fish I don't have?" He, with relief, he was so relieved, replied, "Go home, Charity, and I will give you instructions." I obediently drove to my house, except, curiously, it didn't look like my house when I arrived. And as I think about it, I don't even know what it looked like. When I woke up, I can't remember what the house looked like from the outside. Even though it didn't look like my house, I knew that this was the house I needed to go in. And at the same time, it did kind of feel like home. After I arrived at this house that wasn't my home, but seemed to be like my home, I opened the gate and walked up the walkway, opened the door, and went inside. When I arrived inside, this house did not seem immediately familiar to me. I did not know my way around, but it seemed like in this moment I walked into a kitchen. After walking into this kitchen, on the counter, I saw a dirty fish tank, and inside the filthy fish tank was a fish. It was a big fish. I was unsure how this fish was in the tank. It seemed too large to fit in the tank. Yet, there it was. Kind of a weird kind of thing, right? The unusual sight caught me off guard, and I thought, if this is not really my home, then this is not really my fish that is in the fish tank. Confused at all I was witnessing and taking in, I thought to myself, I guess I do have a fish and a fish tank, even though it really didn't feel like mine. Charlie suddenly appeared in the small kitchen. There was a semi-smooth, charming countertop where I had to dip under to go to the part of the kitchen where the fish and the fish tank were, so I could feed the fish that was in the fish tank. I crouched down and went under the countertop, kind of like the limbo. It made me think of doing the limbo. I was doing the limbo underneath this countertop. It was like a loose leaf that you could also move up so you could easily walk through. But I guess I have to do things the hard way. And I walked under it instead of through it. Doing the limbo under it anyways. I asked Charlie, since I did not know I had a fish that was in the fish tank and this house did not seem familiar to me, Charlie, I have no idea where the food for the fish is. Charlie looked at me and smiled with satisfaction. I thought his expression was funny because I kind of was getting the feeling that he thought this whole thing was funny. We kind of exchanged funny smirks. I said to him, Charlie, you're kind of cute. He laughed and said, the food, Charity, is in the cupboard. The cleaning supplies are also in the cupboard. He pointed to the pale wooden cupboard. I laughed back and said, okay. I opened the cupboard doors and I grabbed the cleaning supplies. I cleaned the tank. It didn't seem like there was much of anything in these cupboards. Like they were kind of bare besides this fish cleaning supplies and food. After cleaning the tank, I grabbed the food to feed the fish. When I turned back around to feed the fish in the fish tank, to my immediate surprise, I was no longer in the house, but on the lake that I saw in the previous dream I had of Candace and Charlie. Then I woke up. Okay, that's the end of the dream. I had this dream on Sunday, and since then I've come to understand what I must tell Candace about this dream, which I probably will do tomorrow. I am probably not going to parallel it to the other dream because I won't have time, because it takes time to explain all these things. So I was going to talk about the dream I had of Candace and Charlie with the mirrors, but I think this must be talked about first. What I feel like is this dream is parallel or in parallel to that dream. I feel like these dreams are occurring and I have all these thoughts in my mind about what they all mean. I feel like these dreams are occurring at the same time, having some connection. I feel like there are common points at each end, and these points are connected. Even though today's word is parallel, I think at some point these dreams will interconnect, which also deals with Jacob's ladder that I discussed about the last couple of days. That's why you need to keep up with these episodes, because they all connect. So you'll be confused if I'm talking in one episode and you haven't listened to the other ones. I am a storyteller. I write stories. So these dreams are parallel, but they don't stay parallel. They will eventually interconnect and intersect. This is all I have for today, because I want you to think about these things. Well, I want Candace to think about these things because, of course, she's watching my show, right? Not. But anyways, I wish she was, because it might be helpful to her. But even though these dreams are not about you, the listener, you can apply these dreams to your own life and to parallel dreams, experiences, and situations you have gone through in your life. As I talk about this, I hope that you can see the parallels of your experiences. And as we connect and intersect these dreams, you will also connect and intersect your experiences. I feel like God wants me to teach you how to understand these things, how to interpret maybe dreams, experiences that you have. Because I have had many years of experience with these kind of occurrences. So I've had a long time to learn, which I wouldn't have been able to talk about 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but today I can, because I've done a lot of study, research, and I read a lot of scriptures. So, okay, that's all I have for today. Stay tuned for tomorrow, Candace Wednesday, and I'll explain a little bit about this dream. It's really interesting, and I kind of enjoyed it. But anyways, bye everybody.